It's hard to see on there. Good to see the volunteers. You got a bunch of young people here that are in high school, and really what your campaign is about and why people are concerned about our future. So make sure that these young people are volunteering for you, Cleveland, that they have that same opportunity to achieve their dreams in America that we inherited from previous generations. And so what we need to do, my friends, is make sure that we have a government that reflects our values, the foundational values that built this country. And it's not what we're seeing out of Washington. The country needs a comeback. And it's an American comeback based on principles of freedom, of opportunity for all people, regardless of their background, their race, their ethnicity, or gender. And it's also based upon the principle of personal responsibility. And what we're seeing out of Washington, though, are dictates, mandates, redistribution, and initiative sapping dependency on government. And what we need to do is really do a lot of things that are good use, good positive solutions that Cleveland Anderson and Delegate Anderson, God, you'll have two Delegate Andersons, just realized that. Good, there's only one May. There's only one May, and one Cadigan, and one Stewart, and one Noe. At any rate, we have the right ideas to make sure that Americans do have those opportunities to achieve their dreams. There's certain things that need to get done, in my view. We got to get our country, number one, more competitive for investment in jobs. I think Prince William County is a prime example of good job growth because you have prompt permitting, you have lower taxes, you have safe communities, you have good schools. Those things matter, and at the federal level, everything coming out of the federal government seems to be against us. We have the second worst taxes, second highest taxes on job-creating businesses in the world at 35%. Now, how does that help any employee that their boss, their employer, is getting taxed second worst in the world? That makes us less competitive. That's why I think we ought to make us better than the international average and reduce the taxes to 20%. That would create 500,000 new jobs a year. Secondly, I was talking about gasoline prices, and I know there's a left guard and a left tackle here for the Osborne football team. We're number one in America with our energy resources, number one in the world. These sanctimonious social engineers in Washington look at our resources as a curse. We ought to look at them as a blessing. And if we unleash our American energy resources, that'll create hundreds and hundreds of thousands of new jobs. We'll have more affordable fuels and electricity. We'll make sure that we're more nationally secure so we're not vulnerable to hostile dictators, oligarchs, and cartels. And by the way, the government makes revenues off of offshore or energy production in our country without raising taxes. And best of all, we keep our money here in the United States of America. And I'd like to see us in Virginia be able to explore for oil and gas off our coast, and then Delegate Cleveland Anderson and Delegate Rich Anderson can say, all right, here are the road transportation projects we want to use these royalties for to improve our ability to move around. So the third point, and this is really why Cleveland Anderson's election is so important, and that is at the federal level, we all know that the federal government needs to be reined in. It's overspending, it's overreaching. And we believe, all of us here, in our Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights which enshrines our God-given rights of freedom of religion, freedom of expression, our natural right of self-defense in the Second Amendment, our private ownership of property in the Fifth Amendment, as well as due process and equal protection. The Bill of Rights also enshrines another really important principle, and that is that government closest to the people best reflects their views. And that's embodied in the 10th Amendment that says that powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved to the people and the states. And your local government here in Prince William County and with Ms. Forster in the town of Dumfries is closest to you, reflecting your needs, your challenges, your values. And the federal government's usurping those rights and prerogatives too often. And my view of the federal government is, and I think this is the founders' principles, is the federal government is supposed to handle national defense, national security issues, everything from our armed forces to border security. They're supposed to protect our God-given rights and make sure that we have unimpeded interstate commerce. Other than that, we want the federal government to stay out of our lives and stay out of our businesses. So the way to make sure that the world knows America's open for business again is, you right energy and economic policies. The other aspect is the states. The states are the laboratories of innovation. The states are the laboratories of democracy. And that's why it's essential that we re-elect Delegate Anderson and Delegate Lingenfelter and all the folks that we know that are outstanding members of the General Assembly, and send reinforcements with Delegate Cleveland Anderson. My friends, having a person like Cleveland Anderson, who's a proven leader in business, who understands the free market system, who understands what people care about as a realtor, as far as a home and where they want to reside and raise their families, really is a perspective that is needed in government. He understands business. He's also been involved in the community, whether it's with the Lions, whether it's with the Elks, or the best thing of all, I think, is being a leader for the Boy Scouts and those principles. Cleveland Anderson's a person who's in touch with the people here. He's wise enough to bring Jane Beyer here, and she knows what else is going on everywhere. But well, everywhere in Prince William County. Well, I won't say, the entire universe. But the folks here care about transportation. It's just part of everyday life and stress that we all have to endure in Northern Virginia, in particular here in Prince William County. And he's got great ideas in that area. He knows about jobs, the economic aspects that are absolutely essential to make sure that Prince William County is a great place for people to live, work, raise their families. He's also a friend of the taxpayers. This is not a guy who's going to go to Richmond and say, gosh, let's raise more taxes. No, this is a guy who's saying, hey, you're paying a lot of taxes right now. Let's see how we can get the most bang for the buck with better efficiencies for the taxpayers, for businesses, and for families. And indeed, that's why we need Cleveland Anderson in the House of Delegates. We win this seat here, it'll be noticed all over Virginia. And in fact, since we're in the Washington, D.C. area, it'll be noticed all across the country. And so you all here, and generally speaking, the eastern part of Prince William County in this 52nd district are going to have an opportunity to elect really a great individual, a person who you can count on to be a great leader for families, for taxpayers, for business owners, whether you're small, medium, or large-sized businesses. It's a person who cares about his community and is now offering himself and motivating and inspiring a lot of people. And it's great to see at Cleveland that you have these young students here from high school joining your team. You're invigorating our ideals and principles. You're also invigorating the American dream. And so, my friends, I present to you a person it's a pleasure for me to be with you, and the person who's going to be the next delegate from the 52nd District, a person who is truly a good scout, a good man, a gentleman, and the next delegate from the 52nd District, Cleveland Anderson. Cleveland.